In room 902 where the numbers fly, Mr. Ames got the knowledge reaching for the sky. Got the chalk in his hand and the graph on the board. Teaching polynomials, never gets ignored. Mr. A, making math make sense. Teaching all the formulas, no pretense.
Alright, question number 34. The distance of millions of miles a planet is from the sun in terms of t. The number of Earth days it takes to the planet to orbit the sun can be modeled by the expression cube root 6t squared. Write the expression in exponential form. So I'm just going to rewrite the problem, and you'll notice some things here. We need to write it in exponential form. So exponential form has exponents, or fractional exponents. We have a 2 there, and you'll notice that we are missing some numbers there. So if you talk to your partner really quickly, you realize that you're missing a number there. Show me with your fingers. Yeah, that's a 1 right there. Alright, so we've been using this silly phrase for the past week. On the top of a fraction, you go inside the radical. And if at the bottom of the fraction, it's going to go on the outside of the radical. So the 3 here is inside or outside? It's on the outside. So that means it's going to go on the bottom of our fraction here. Let's go ahead and write that. Bottom of our fractions. Okay, so now then we're going to look at the base there. Got 6 and I got t. And the 1 and 2 there, they're in on the inside of the radical. Inside. Now those are going to go onto the top of our fractions. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's put a 1 and a 2. Goes on the top there, inside top. And that t should have a 2 up there. Alright, number 35, the volume, the radius of a sphere can be modeled by the expression, the cube root of 3 over 4 pi times v, where v is the volume of the sphere. Write the expression in exponential form. So let me go ahead and just repeat whatever they gave me. And notice that space I have between the 2 there. Well, v is the volume of the sphere. We don't have that. That tells me to write our expression in exponential form. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is the expression exponential form basically means to get rid of our radicals. So it has the word exponent. So that's what we're going to try to get in there. Okay, there's a missing number there. But before I do that, I'm basically going to call this 2 blobs. 1, call this a blue blob. And I'm going to put purple around this second blob. So 2 separate entities. And they both have the missing number. Go ahead and tell your partner what number goes there. Okay, and then we're just going to use our silly phrase. Okay, our silly phrase is top in the radical. And then bottom of the fraction will go on the outside of the radical. So that's the silly phrase we've been working with all week. Okay, so can't show it to you, but basically that's the radical in and out, and then the top and bottom refers to the fraction. Okay, so this is on the outside of the radical. So now it's gonna become the bottom. Remember, fraction up there, you can't see it, but bottom of my fraction. Okay, So now I have my blob, the purple, blue and purple blobs. Remember, the inside of the radical is now going to go to the top of our fractions. Okay, then you're just going to put whatever's in the blob back in there. So 3 over 4 pi. You don't have to touch it. That was our 1. Remember, from the inside goes to the top, and then our v, oh, that's the number there. Alright, number 36 here, let's go ahead and just write the expression down. 1 minus t over p to the 1 over n. Read the problem multiple times, try to get some hints out of here. Okay, so we know that n is the age of the item in years, and then you can also see that this problem has a substitution for that value for n. So n is equal to 8. 1 over 8. Alright, let's get some more variables here. P is the original price, and then we actually, for P, we can actually put in 52,425. Let's go ahead and write that, 52,425. Okay, T, we didn't find anything, so we're basically going to leave T there. Okay, so now our goal is to write this in radical form, and radical form means it has a radical sign. So let's go ahead and get a radical sign here, and the right side here is that the 1/8 is sided to this purple blob here. The 1 minus does not have a rational exponent, so we can just write it there. So now we could just use our silly phrase here on the outside, bottom out. Bottom is going to be the 8. Because it's the bottom of the fraction, therefore it's going to go outside the radical. So let's go ahead and just write that blob there. Don't get intimidated by it, 52,425. And you just keep it as a blob, so let's just go ahead and put T there, and then parentheses, doesn't change. And the top part there of our fraction goes on the inside, so that's going to be a number 1. That'll be our answer, so let's box it. And you don't need the parentheses or 1. Alright, last problem here. Go to salaries. Company uses this expression S1 plus R to the Y to the third. So let's go ahead and just write that down. And to determine increases in the salaries of employees, where S is the employee's current salary. So let's just go ahead and highlight that. Here would be current salary, S. And if we scan the whole problem, let's see if we have a current salary. I don't see, salary is usually in money, dollars, so I don't see any amounts in dollars. R is the percentage of the profits. So there's R. And I do see something, but we'll go back to it later. But y is the number of years a play has worked. So let's go ahead and get y here in purple. Write an expression in radical form. But in order for us to do that, radical form of for an employee who has worked 5 years. So I'm going to use worked for the company for 5 years. There's my y value. Current salary, we don't really have. Okay, yellow we do, purple we don't. Purple we do. So let's go ahead and put that in there. Y equals 5, let's put that. So now I have 5 over 3, I have this blob. Okay, now I have R equals 3.6%. So it's telling us it's a percentage. So let's go ahead and put R equals 3.6%. So you have to be careful. The rate is 3.6% and 1 is a decimal. So the question is, how do you convert 3.6% into a decimal? Well, the symbol is the percent symbol. Think of the word percent. Okay, here's your hint. You have this thing. You have pennies. So how many pennies in a dollar? That's 100. So 3.6% means per 100 out of 100. 3.6 out of 100. Okay, so if you divide that in your calculator, you can just type in 0.36. 3.6 over 100 gives you 0.036. If you want to do that by hand, you just type in 3.6, add a couple zeros to the left because 3.6 over 100 is a very small number. And then you have 2 zeros here, so then I'm going to move it to the 2 place values to the left. And that's how I get 0.036. Okay, so I put my R value of 0.036, so I have S times 1.036, that goes together and you get 5/3. Okay, I want you to notice that S is to the first power and is not associated with the 5/3. That means only the right side is going to have the radical, because that's a rational exponent, a fractional exponent. So let's go ahead and write this out. S has no radical. That's going to become a radical. I have the blob. Okay, so let's put the 1.036 inside the radical here. That is our base. And then we have our rational exponent here. Zoom out here so you can see. Remember, 5 is on the top, so now it's going to go on the inside. Top goes inside. Let's write that there in green. And then the bottom goes on the outside of the radical. And that's our answer.
Love math, it's my favorite game. Numbers and formulas never the same. From roots to graph, it's all in my head. Math is a language I've always said. Only in Mr. Ing's class.